This is Owen Richard. The date is the 21st of April, and this is part one of my prop slash set making. I'm making this video to document my set and prop making. I feel like it could help. Again, I stated in my last journal that I want to go more on the side of set building as well as acting, so stage management. So I'm just practicing, like testing bits that work and don't work. So I thought it'd be a good idea to documentary my evidence of me making the set and props, which I will show you what I've done so far and what I plan to do, and the reasons why I made these set and props or sets. So we're going to start off with showing you some of the bits I've done. At the end of the video there will be some pictures and that of the process of making stuff like this as well. None of this I got from YouTube. The only thing I did get from, got for research or information was how to make the base to the paste and that to be able to stick bits of paper and that and to make certain things. I will put the link in the description of what the video I watched to make it. But how to make the paste is literally 2 cups of flour, 2 cups of water and teaspoon of table salt, and you just mix it and then you get your paste to basically it's glue basically in a way. Alright, so first of all, paper mache, that's what it's called, I forgot what it's called, paper mache. That is called paper mache. So the first thing I want to talk about is this. It's not done yet. I still need to make it so it stands because it's not very wobbly at the moment. It's supposed to be a pillar, like a Roman type pillar. Obviously it's quite thin, but I'm using the resources I have from obviously in isolation, and I had these poles, there's some more back here. We had a full isolation, we had builders over to add an extension, then they left these here and were allowed to use them. They're just bits of cardboard tube, so that's the reason why. So obviously it's not, the thickness is not there, but I feel like the idea of them is there. So again, there'll be photos of how I made it, but again, it is just a paper mache slapped on with bits of paper, and that's to kind of give it the rough feel. I'll tell you why I've done that in a minute, with some white creamy paint on it. The reason I made it look all rough, and as you can see, I don't know if you can see it from the light, all kind of like bits of chunk and that, is I'm doing this from the mind of Daniel, because really Daniel made the set. He didn't have the character of Daniel, the character I'm playing. He made the set, not the actors who, obviously I didn't make this, Daniel made it. So like he thinks he's amazing but he's not, so he'll probably make stuff that isn't great. So even at the bottom here, if I can lift it up, I'll bang my ceiling, this bit's ripped, which is on purpose to kind of show the roughness of the set, which is part of the show. It's supposed to be this really rough, terrible looking set that looks like a 5-year-old made it. But in Daniel's mind, it's this amazing show. So that's why I'm making it like this. And to kind of put more of the output of Daniel, think he is a one-man band type thing. On the pillar, it's going to be in the corner, probably stage left. It will be used for the chariot race scene. It's going to get knocked over, so I need to make sure the stability in that is there as well, so it won't get knocked down from anything else until there's a big force knocking it down. So there will be posters, which will be in part 2 I'll show, and obviously the progression of this and the other bits I'll show you in a bit. The posters will be basically the cast, so it's breaking the realism. So Daniel made something from ancient Roman time, then he breaks the character, putting loads of posters of the actors. So you got like Crystal, then you got Omar, like basically their photos on there. And the photos are, which I've gotten from my cast already, they're very funny faces. And then you have Daniel, who's got a very serious picture. So on the poster you have loads of very funny faces of the cast, and you have Daniel, and the biggest one, pulling a very dramatic pose. And there'll be posters all over the pillar to break the realism of he's done something that's supposed to be in ancient Roman time, but then he's broken it by guessing being obnoxious and putting posters of himself and his cast in little photos, just to show that who's his character of he thinks he's the leader, the boss, the coolest out of them all. So that's that, and I'm planning to make some more of these. I'm not, well, hopefully, but miniature ones. I'll explain that in the next video because they're not going to be like this one. Again, I'm going to have to make some stability which I will find a way, and obviously I'll explain why in the next video. So moving on, just going to put this over here. The next thing is I'm making spears. The spears are going to be used for the chariot racing, and they're not going to be thrown or anything because of safety reasons. They're just going to be kind of like, you know, like that type of thing. So these are bamboo sticks. I got these for my garden. We have a bit of like a bamboo forest. So I cut these down with a saw and smoothed them out with some sandpaper. I still need to do bits on the top. And the plan is to use some cardboard, which I've got down here, you can't see, but I've got lots of cardboard here to make some spear tips. I'm not sure if I'm going to paint them yet. I'm going to the actual sticks itself, but with the spear tips I'm going to paint in a silvery colour and make them look a little bit rusty to look like they're spear tips, you know, made out of metal. After I added them to these, I'm then going to see if I'm going to paint the sticks or not, because after doing some research into obviously Roman times and that, they did have obviously just sticks with bits of the metal tips that they added on from moulding onto the sticks. But I couldn't find anyone that looked bamboo-y. So I'm going to have a look to see what they look like, and obviously to kind of get more of the realism of ancient Roman time there. So that's those, and again that'll be the progression in the next video. Then we're moving on to this head sculpture. Again, use the same paste as I did for the pillar. This is just a football with obviously bits of paper and that all around it, and that's it so far. And it'll be using this later on to get more of a mould. So it doesn't look too much at the moment, but the plan is to have this as a Roman head, a statue head. And this goes for I think it's the fourth scene where the Roman head falls off the parapet and nearly kills an emperor of Rome. So this plays a big part in it, so this is something I definitely need to make. Again, I could get my techie Matt to make all these, but I feel like with the time scale we have and being in isolation, I have time to do this myself, and to, I guess, to get that more of the feeling of what it feels like to make the props. Obviously they're not amazing, but I have got working on little resources. I'm trying to find scraps I've got around my house and my garden, so it's quite good actually. I am finding it quite fun. So yeah, this is what it's going to be. Obviously the progression will be the next video with some photos. That's all I've got for that. And there's a lot of other things I've got planned to make, but I will say that more in the next video. That's what I've got so far. So I feel like this has helped me out a lot. I guess to kind of branch off in a different region, which I haven't really tried out before. I have it where I work, but I haven't done it to a scale like this, where I have to do it all by myself. So it's quite nice, it's rewarding as well, so it's quite good to know for the future if I go to universities that I don't have to always rely on someone else to make them for me. I can always do it myself, and as it's coming from myself, I know what I want as a director, so I know how to make them, which is quite nice. Again, like the roughness of Daniel's character making them. Even when I was making the pillar, I was trying to act like Daniel to kind of get in the mindset of how he would do it, making it how rough he would make it. Same, which I'm going to do with the head, with the spears. I'm going to get in the mindset of Daniel and make them, because he's a character who thinks it's amazing, but he's rushing them because he wants them to be done for the show. He thinks it's amazing. But it's obviously not at all. Thank you, that'll be it for part 1 of the set and props of making video, and I'll see you in the next one.